Cold open, why chasing instantly destroys your power. Most people are trained to believe one thing: if you want respect, love, or opportunity, you have to chase it. You have to text more, try harder, follow up again, prove yourself louder than everyone else. But in the real world, that belief is one of the fastest ways to lose your power. Because the moment you start chasing, you quietly announce something you would never say out loud: I have less value here. You see, in real social psychology, effort is not neutral. When your effort explodes and their effort stays flat, the entire conversation tilts. Your attention goes up, your status goes down. Think about it. You double text, they reply when they feel like it. You over-explain, they give one-word answers. You pitch your worth to a company, a friend group, a person you're attracted to, and they keep you in mind. On the surface, it looks like persistence. Underneath, it reads as neediness and lack of options. This is why the most magnetic people look like they are doing less. They are not running around, begging for callbacks, chasing affection, or forcing opportunities. They operate by a different rule. They do not chase. They create conditions where other people feel pulled toward them, where attention flows to them without them having to throw their energy at everyone. Psychologists call it reactance. The harder you push, the more people feel their freedom threatened, and the more they devalue what is pushing on them. When you chase, you become pressure. When you become pressure, they instinctively pull away, even if your logic is perfect and your intentions are good. Chasing is an ego trap. It feels intelligent. It feels proactive. You tell yourself you are being ambitious, that you are showing interest, that this is how winners behave. But strategically, you have already agreed to be the one with less power. You have volunteered to be the pursuer, the explainer, the one who has to convince. They become the judge. You become the audition. Machiavelli would say, the optics of power matter more than the argument you make. Robert Greene would tell you that value is tied to scarcity, and that what is constantly available, constantly explaining itself, automatically looks cheaper. High-value people understand this without needing a psychology degree. The real sign of intelligence is not how well you can chase. It is how precisely you can control your attention. You decide who gets your energy. You decide who earns access. You understand that if you are always available, you become invisible. In this video, you are going to learn how the great strategists of power used scarcity, distance, and controlled desire to pull people in, without becoming manipulative or fake. Now, let's begin with the first brutal rule of attraction. Why the less you chase, the more the world starts moving towards you. The pain of being the one who cares more, the brutal rule, sounds exciting when it's abstract. But you only understand it when you feel the burn of being the one who always cares more. How many times have you stared at your phone, rewriting the same message so you don't sound too needy, then sent it first anyway? How often do you double text after they leave you on read, then pretend you were just following up? You check your notifications every few minutes. And when the reply finally arrives, it's a single word. Cool, nice, yeah. You bring thoughtful messages. They respond with one-word replies. You ask real questions. They send lazy emojis. You plan the meetup. They cancel last minute or show up half distracted, scrolling through their phone while you're mid-sentence. Think about it. Who has the power in that conversation? Who is bending, adjusting, over-explaining, trying to keep the connection alive? You see, this pattern doesn't stop with dating or friendships. It follows you into work. You chase your boss for feedback on a project you stayed late to finish. They say, I'll get to it, then ignore you for a week. You chase colleagues for approval, volunteering for tasks no one wants, hoping they'll see you as a team player. You chase clients who treat you as replaceable, answering late-night messages, giving discounts, apologizing for things that were never your fault. On paper, everything you do seems logical. You're being proactive, responsive, committed, but emotionally, something else is happening. Every unanswered text, every delayed reply, every half-hearted sure, whatever chips away at you, you feel yourself shrinking. You start editing your personality down to whatever you think will finally win their attention. This is why the pain cuts so deep. It's not only rejection, it is humiliation. The moment you realize you are negotiating against your own dignity and still not getting what you want, your ego doesn't just hurt, it collapses. You know you're being reasonable, yet you feel foolish every time you reach out and they don't match your effort. Power is not only about status or money. Power is about where your energy flows. When you chase, you hand over control of your mood to people who reply when they are bored, not when you are important. Social exchange theory explains this coldly. What looks abundant is valued less. What looks desperate is treated as low status. The real sign of intelligence is seeing this pattern for what it is, not proof that you are unworthy, but proof that you have been trained to play the wrong game of value and attention. You were taught to argue for your place, to campaign for affection, to audition for respect. In the next part, you're going to see how Machiavelli and Greene would diagnose this game, and why the people you chase the hardest are often the ones who secretly fear what will happen the day you stop. The hidden cost of chasing, how you train people to devalue you. The people you chase the hardest are usually the ones who quietly downgrade you the fastest. Not because you lack value, but because chasing rewires how their mind categorizes you. The moment you start running after someone, a hidden set of psychological mechanisms switches on. Machiavelli would say, when you pursue, you confess dependence. And dependence kills power. Let's start with psychological reactants. When people feel their freedom is being pushed, they instinctively pull away to protect it. You see, the human ego hates the feeling of being cornered. The more pressure, the more resistance. Think about it. Have you ever had someone text you 10 times in a row, demand answers, demand attention, demand a response? Did you feel closer to them, or did you feel an urge to escape? That is reactance. Their insistence becomes an invisible argument against your autonomy, so your mind pushes back. Now connect this to chasing. Every time you double text, over-explain, ask, did I do something wrong? Or keep reopening a dead conversation, you are not showing how much you care. You are triggering that same defensive system. Their brain reads pressure, their ego reads control, their desire quietly drops. The more you push, the more they need to prove to themselves that they cannot be controlled by you. Distance becomes their way of winning. On top of that, social exchange theory is running in the background. People subconsciously calculate value versus cost in every interaction. You bring effort, they bring indifference. You invest attention, they invest the bare minimum. Over time, the equation becomes obvious. You are paying more than you receive. Intelligent observers interpret this as low status, high cost, low scarcity, easy to access, easy to ignore. This is why constant availability is so dangerous. When you answer instantly, always say yes, always rearrange your schedule, your aura flattens. You stop feeling like a rare signal and start sounding like predictable background noise. There is no tension, no uncertainty, no sense that your presence could be lost. And what cannot be lost is rarely protected. Have you noticed how people obsess more over the friend who is hard to reach than the one who replies in seconds? The same logic applies to attraction, business, and social power. Scarcity creates focus. Abundance creates neglect. The real sign of intelligence is not to become cold, rude, or theatrical. It is to understand that warmth without boundaries looks like weakness, and attention without limits looks like desperation. In this video, you are going to learn how Machiavellian scarcity and Greene-style distance rebuild your perceived value, not by playing childish games, but by making your presence feel expensive again. In the next section, we will break down exactly how to create that distance strategically, so people stop treating you as an option and start experiencing you as an opportunity. The critical mistake, thinking effort equals worth, but here is where intelligent, hard-working people fall into a brutal trap. You are trained to believe that if you work harder, explain more, give more, people will finally see your worth, that if you keep proving yourself, the world will eventually reward you. Think about it. That is how school graded you, how early jobs evaluated you, how every high-performer system conditioned you. You see, in school and work, the game is merit and truth. You solve the problem, you get the grade. You deliver the result, you get the promotion. Effort is visible. Output is measured. The rules are written down. But the moment you step into attraction, status, and influence, the game silently changes. Now the rules are unwritten, and effort is no longer rewarded. It is punished. You are playing the game of logic and performance. Other people are playing the game of ego, status, and emotional comfort. You say, "Look at my results." They say, "How does this make me feel about myself?" You bring proof. They bring perception. You bring arguments. They bring appetite, insecurity, and fear of losing power. This mismatch is why you over-explain, over-give, and over-pursue. You send the long message. They reply with a one-word answer. You rearrange your schedule. They see if they're free. You apply, pitch, present, chase. They sit back and enjoy the power of being the chooser, not the chaser. Your extra effort does not raise your value. It raises their comfort. It feeds their ego. Psychological reactance research shows that when people feel pushed, they pull away and devalue what is pushing. The more your attention chases them, the more their mind protects its freedom by lowering your status. This is why constant reassurance, constant availability, and constant pursuit feel noble to you, but feel suffocating and cheap to them. The real sign of intelligence is not how much you can give. It is how precisely you control what you give, when you give it, and to whom. Power is not about proving that you are worthy. Power is about controlling your access. The moment you give your time, your attention, your energy without standards, you teach people that your presence has no price. So the real goal is not to convince anyone that you deserve a seat at their table. The real goal is to become the table, to move from applicant to authority. To shift from please pick me to here is how access to me works. That is when scarcity bias flips in your favor and people start competing for what you no longer throw at them for free. Now, let's begin to ask the dangerous question. What happens when you stop proving and start positioning yourself as the scarce prize instead of the applicant? Machiavelli's lens, power is not in proving, it's in pulling. When you stop proving, you collide with an older, harsher question. Who actually has the power here? The one who explains, or the one who never has to? Machiavelli answered that 500 years ago, in a world where the wrong signal didn't cost you a date, it cost you your throne. Machiavelli lived in the world of princes, courts, and shifting alliances, where loyalty could be bought, traded, or withdrawn overnight. In that environment, begging for loyalty was not romantic. It was suicidal. The ruler who chased support, who pleaded to be believed, who tried to win every argument with logic, exposed a dangerous truth. He needed people more than they needed him. You see, Machiavelli's real lesson was not cruelty. It was optics. Power is not in proving. Power is in pulling. The prince who appears to need others loses power. The one who seems above needing approval gains fear, respect, and something even more valuable, voluntary allegiance. People lean toward the figure who looks like they could walk away at any moment and still remain whole. Think about it. In a court full of scheming nobles, the anxious ruler calls everyone, explains decisions, defends every move. The calm ruler says little, appears self-sufficient, and lets people wonder what he knows that they do not. You chase their reassurance, they chase your certainty. You argue, they observe. The real sign of intelligence is understanding which position actually controls the conversation. In this context, power is the ability to direct other people's energy and attention without visibly exerting effort. You are not pushing, convincing, and chasing. You are a fixed point they orbit around. They bring you information. They try to impress you. They adjust themselves to your standards, not because you demanded it loudly, but because your scarcity and composure make them feel that access to you is already a reward. How do the powerful do this? They step back, they observe, they calculate, they shift their behavior to create pull instead of push. They control when they speak, how much they reveal, and where the argument happens, if it happens at all. They understand psychological reactance long before psychologists named it. The harder you push, the more people resist and secretly devalue you. This is why the most magnetic people today look strangely similar to Machiavelli's ideal prince. They do not chase friendships, clients, or romantic partners. They signal that their time and attention are limited resources. They are not always available. They do not answer every message instantly. They are selective about where their energy goes, and that selectivity becomes its own advertisement. The moment you stop signaling hunger, people start to feel your absence. Status research shows that non-neediness reads as strength, while over-eagerness reads as weakness. You do not need a crown, but you do need to manage your optics like a ruler. The question is, how do you build that aura deliberately, without faking, and without turning cold or robotic? In the next section, we move from Machiavelli to Greene, and you will see the exact scarcity moves that quietly pull people toward you while you say less and control more. Greene's laws of scarcity, why absence beats explanation. Greene's answer is brutal and elegant at the same time. You stop chasing by disappearing strategically. Law 16 of the 48 laws of power is simple on the surface. Use absence to increase respect and honor, but lived correctly, it rewires how people treat you. When you are always present, always replying, always explaining, you blend into the background. You become furniture, familiar, comfortable, and completely taken for granted. The moment your presence is guaranteed, your value quietly collapses because people's brains stop noticing what is always there. You see, scarcity is not a cute dating trick. It is a deep psychological bias. Studies on scarcity bias show that when two options are objectively the same, people consistently assign more value to the one that appears rare, limited, or hard to access. The water in a champagne glass feels more precious than the same water pouring endlessly from a tap. Your attention works the same way. Greene's Law 16 attacks your urge to over-explain. Most people think, if I clarify more, they will respect me more. In reality, the opposite happens. The more you explain, the more you signal that their approval is your oxygen. Intelligent strategists let silence and absence do the explaining. They leave gaps. They leave questions. They let other people's minds chase the missing information. Now, let's begin to layer in Law 11, learn to keep people dependent on you. This sounds dark, but dependence is already everywhere. Your boss depends on the one person who can fix the crisis at 11 p.m. Your friends depend on the calm mind they call when their life is on fire. When others need your presence, your skills, or your perspective, the chasing reverses automatically. Think about it. Who gets chased more? The person who is always available, always accessible, always ready to drop everything for a last-minute favor? Or the person whose time is limited, whose attention is selective, who can solve problems no one else can, and who does not rush to explain themselves in every conversation? You bring constant availability, they bring casual disrespect. You flood them with messages, they reply when they feel like it. You write essays explaining your truth, they skim and forget. This is why your logic feels powerless. Your very abundance is killing your power. Now flip the identity. You are calm in your distance. You answer, but not instantly. You show up, but not every time. You contribute insight, not emotional essays. Intermittent reinforcement research shows that unpredictable rewards create stronger attachment than constant rewards. When your presence is slightly unpredictable, people lean in. They monitor you. They wonder. The real sign of intelligence is not winning every argument. It is designing the environment so you rarely need to argue. In this video, you are going to learn how to turn these abstract laws into concrete behaviors. How you text, how you schedule, how you say no, and how you exit conversations before your value leaks away. In the next section, you will see the exact micro moves that signal scarcity, build dependence ethically, and make people feel your absence long before you ever raise your voice. The social tax of being the loud fool versus the silent magnet. Now, let's begin with one of the most expensive mistakes you can make socially, paying the tax of being the loud fool. There is always that one person in the room, always talking, always reacting, always demanding attention. They jump into every conversation, correct every detail, argue with everyone to prove they are right or important. You bring calm presence, they bring constant performance. You pause, they panic at the silence, and fill it with more words. On the surface, it looks like confidence. They laugh the loudest, explain the longest, interrupt the most. But watch the faces of powerful people when this happens. They are not impressed. They are scanning. They are tracking who can control their emotions and who leaks neediness with every sentence. The real sign of intelligence is not how loudly you argue, but how little you need to. Think about it. Have you ever watched someone argue with a waiter, a receptionist, or a stranger online over something that does not matter? The loud fool believes this proves strength. In truth, it exposes weakness. It reveals an ego that cannot tolerate being ignored, a mind that cannot handle not having the last word. Machiavelli would say, this person is ruled, not ruling. Their emotions are on display for anyone to push. You see, in every room there is another figure, the silent magnet. They speak less, they choose their battles carefully, they do not rush to respond. While the fool performs for attention, the magnet seems internally occupied with their own mission. Their eyes are not begging for reactions, their attention is invested elsewhere. People feel it. They start wondering, who is this? What are they focused on that is more important than this argument? Attention is power. The person everyone watches, wonders about, or waits to hear from holds more status than the person constantly performing for laughs or validation. You talk to fill space, they talk to move something forward. You chase approval, they allocate their energy. This is why scarcity and silence feel magnetic. They create a gap your mind wants to close. Chasing is always a performance. You perform for people who do not value you, hoping that more words, more effort, more arguments will finally flip their perception. It never does. Psychological reactance shows that the more you push, the more they resist and devalue you. The moment you stop chasing and start withdrawing your attention, the frame reverses. Now they feel the loss. Strategic silence and scarcity quietly attract those who are capable of valuing you. In the next section, you will learn the exact behaviors that turn you from the loud fool into the silent magnet. How you enter rooms, how you sit, how long you wait before responding, and how to let others compete for the attention you no longer give away. Your new game, stop convincing, start controlling access, so now the game changes. Up to this point, we have been talking about how you carry yourself. Now we shift to something even more powerful, how you control access to yourself. Most people live in the wrong game. They try to win arguments, win hearts, win over doubters. They chase, they over-explain. They pour attention and energy into people who are half interested at best. Think about it. Have you ever caught yourself sending the long paragraph, making the extra call, giving one more chance to someone who treats you like an option? This is why your value feels low. When you are always available, your attention becomes background noise. Psychological research is clear. What pushes on people triggers resistance. The harder you try to convince, the more their ego feels its freedom under attack. They pull away, not because you lack value, but because you are broadcasting hunger. The real sign of intelligence is to stop trying to force attraction and start managing scarcity. High-value people operate differently. They do not burn energy trying to convert the resistant. They do not beg for respect from the disrespectful. They invest in those already leaning toward them. You see, when someone shows genuine curiosity, effort, or respect, the intelligent person leans in. When someone shows chronic disinterest, flakiness, or subtle contempt, they quietly lean out. No drama, no emotional argument. Access simply decreases. This is controlled access. You decide who gets your time, how much, and under what conditions. You are no longer on emotional call, responding instantly to every message, every demand, every mood swing. You answer when it makes sense. You meet when there is mutual effort. You share your inner world with those who have earned that level of truth, not with anyone who happens to ask. Power is no longer in how loudly you speak, but in how selectively you open the door. Of course, this requires an internal shift. You have been trained to fear losing people, to panic when someone pulls away, to treat every retreat as a crisis you must fix. The moment you stop doing that, your psychology changes. You move from fear to calm selection. Not everyone deserves access to you. Not everyone should be able to reach you instantly. Not everyone has the emotional credit to withdraw your energy and attention. In this video, you are going to learn 8 Machiavellian Greene strategies to make this real in your daily life. Not to turn you into a cold actor, but to help you attract without chasing, to be desired without performing, to keep your humanity while upgrading your strategy. Because the next move is where the real power begins. When you walk into a room and, without saying a word, people start adjusting themselves around you. How do you create that effect on command? That is what we are about to dissect. 8 strategies to become the person others pursue. That effect is not an accident. It is engineered. In this video, you are going to learn 8 Machiavellian strategies designed for intelligent people who are exhausted from chasing in dating, in friendships, at work. and in every social circle where effort has started to feel like begging. Think about it. You have spent years explaining yourself, over-texting, over-calling, over-proving your value in every conversation. You pour out attention and energy. They respond with delays, half answers, or silence. The real sign of intelligence is to realize that the problem is not your worth, it is your strategy. This is why the next part of this video is a roadmap, not a pep talk. First, you will learn to recognize when to withdraw. You bring honesty, they bring games. You bring logic, they bring ego. The moment you see that your presence is being taken for granted, the intelligent move is not another argument. It is quiet distance. Second, you will master the art of absence. Scarcity makes people look again. When your time and presence are no longer automatic, their brain feels that loss and starts to pursue the source of it. Third, you will learn to signal standards without speeches. No dramatic announcements, no long explanations. You change your behavior, your boundaries, your access, and people feel the new rules without a single lecture. Fourth, you will control your emotional availability. You see, attraction dies when your emotions are on sale to anyone who asks. High-value people are warm, but not open on command. Fifth, you will use strategic unpredictability. Not chaos, not foolish randomness, but calibrated variety that keeps others attentive instead of bored. Sixth, you will protect your attention like a scarce resource. Not every message gets a reply. Not every invitation gets a yes. Seventh, you will learn to let time do the confronting for you, instead of chasing closure from those who do not respect truth. And finally, you will embody quiet power, the ability to walk away, stay silent, and still control the frame. None of these strategies are about turning you into a manipulative villain. They are about protecting your power, your dignity, and your limited time. You are not here to humiliate people or play childish games. You are here to stop bleeding value in one-sided pursuits. So before we dive in, choose one arena: romantic, social, or professional. Where are you done chasing? Lock that area in your mind, because every strategy you're about to hear, you will apply there immediately. And if you are thinking, can this really flip who is chasing who? Keep watching. The first strategy will show you how walking away at the right moment makes people follow. Core thesis, the real sign of high value now. Let's begin to rewrite who you are in that arena you chose. Most people secretly believe the real sign of intelligence and value is how many people they can convince, how many they can hold on to, how many they can chase into staying. But the real sign of intelligence is the opposite. Power is not measured by how hard you cling. Power is measured by how selectively you choose where your attention, time, and energy go. Think about it. A ruler in Machiavelli's world who begs for loyalty loses it. A partner who over-pursues becomes less attractive. A manager who chases every employee's approval loses authority. The pattern is the same. The more you chase, the more you broadcast that your value depends on their response. You see, the key reversal of this entire video is simple. High value is not about how many people want you. High value is about how calmly you can let the wrong people drift away. The moment you stop scrambling to keep every connection alive, you stop signaling neediness and start signaling standards. Here is the maxim that will anchor everything that follows. Power is not in the argument you win, but in the arguments you never dignify with your presence. The arguments you do not enter. The conversations you do not chase. The attention you do not beg for. Intelligent people understand that every response is an investment, and foolish people are constantly trying to lure you into low-return battles. Look at the most magnetic person in any room. They are rarely the loudest voice, rarely the one explaining themselves to everyone. They are the one who seems least emotionally dependent on immediate approval. They listen more than they talk. They choose their conversations. They can walk away from validation because their ego is not starving. This is why psychological research keeps finding the same thing. When something appears scarce, controlled, and not easily moved, people assign it more value. Status signaling studies show that non-neediness and selective availability read as high status. When you are not everywhere, when you are not chasing, people start asking, why not? What do they know about their value that I don't? So this becomes your new identity. You are not the person who scrambles for attention. You are the person who calmly chooses who and what is worth your time. You do not run after every message, every date, every opportunity. You let your standards filter for you. In this video, you are going to learn the exact strategies to live that identity in real life. If you commit to it, people around you will feel the shift long before they can explain it. They will talk more. They will pursue more. They will argue harder to be close to you. And in the next section, you will see the first concrete move that quietly flips that dynamic without a single chase. Locking it in, the silence is power mantra now. Let's begin locking that identity in. You cannot become magnetic with the same inner script that made you chase. So we are going to overwrite it. Your new mantra is this: silence is power. Scarcity is respect. I don't chase. Say it out loud once. Again, one more time. Think of every repetition as a small act of rebellion against your old reflex to explain, to convince, to run after people who are walking away. You see, your nervous system has been trained to panic when there is silence. No reply. You double text. Awkward pause. You overtalk. Someone pulls back. You flood them with attention. That is not intelligence. That is conditioning. This mantra is a pattern interrupt. The moment your fingers hover over the keyboard to send that long paragraph, you stop and say, silence is power. Scarcity is respect. I don't chase. You are teaching your body that restraint is not weakness, it is control. Now I want you to do something very simple and very public. Go to the comments and write a shortened version of this identity. I don't chase, I attract. Or my attention is rare. Or your own variation that carries the same truth. Why does this matter? Because writing it where other people can see it forces a tiny but real behavioral commitment. You are not whispering it in your head. You are declaring it in front of thousands. This is why that comment is more than a sentence. It is a contract. When you type "my attention is rare," you make it harder to go back to over-texting someone who answers when they feel like it. When you write "I don't chase, I attract," you will hear your own words in your mind the next time you volunteer for disrespect. The real sign of intelligence is using small, visible actions to lock in massive internal shifts. Understand this clearly. This is not about becoming cold, robotic, or emotionally unavailable. High value is not cruelty. It is precision. You speak when it matters. You show up when it counts. You do not enter every argument, every conversation, every drama that begs for your attention. You refuse to spend energy proving your worth to foolish people who only understand neediness. You are not mute. You are deliberate. Pattern interrupt for you. What if the most powerful thing you say today is nothing at all? What if the most attractive move you make is the one you do not make? In this video, you are going to learn how to turn that question into a concrete strategy. Because now that the mindset is set, we move to the first tactical move that instantly separates the quiet magnet from the restless chaser. Strategy #1. Recognize when logic is useless. Strategy number 1 is brutal. And it is a discipline. Recognize when logic is useless. The real sign of intelligence is not how sharp your arguments are. It is how quickly you notice when the other person is not interested in truth at all, only in protecting their ego and status. The moment you miss this, you walk straight into a trap where every word you say lowers your value. You see, this is where intelligent people struggle the most. You were trained to believe that if you bring facts, clarity, and sincerity, reasonable people will meet you halfway. You explain carefully, you stay calm, you show evidence. They should respect that, right? Think about it. How many times has that effort only made them more defensive, more loud, more disrespectful? There are two types of people in any heated conversation: truth seekers and validation seekers. The truth seeker wants to understand. They ask questions. They adjust when new information appears. They are willing to be wrong if it gets them closer to reality. The validation seeker wants to feel superior, safe, and unchallenged. They do not care if their position is accurate. They care if it keeps them on top. When you argue with a validation seeker using pure logic, you are speaking a language they do not value. They experience your facts as an attack on their identity, not as information. This is why the more rational you become, the more emotional they become. Your intelligence threatens their ego, so they reach for weapons that have nothing to do with truth. Watch their behavior. They constantly interrupt you before you finish a sentence. They move the goalposts every time you address their point. You answer one objection, they immediately jump to another, pretending the first never happened. They ignore your strongest arguments as if they were never spoken at all. Then it gets uglier. They twist your words into a position you never held, then argue against that fiction. They mock your tone, your personality, your motives, anything except the actual content. The conversation stops being about ideas and becomes a performance where they must not lose face. At that point, logic has no power. You are no longer in a discussion, you are standing on their stage. Here is your diagnostic line. When you feel yourself performing for their approval, trying to prove that you are reasonable, trying to earn basic respect, you are no longer in a conversation. You are in a value-draining argument. The intelligent move is not to push harder, but to exit. Now, let's begin turning that awareness into action, because once you know when logic is useless, the next question is, how do you walk away without losing power, and often become more attractive by doing so? Inside Strategy #1. Ego battles you can never win. Inside Strategy #1 is brutal in its simplicity. There are ego battles you can never win, no matter how perfect your logic is. The moment you threaten someone's identity, the game changes. You are no longer offering clarity. You are attacking their self-image. Think about it. When you say that's not accurate, they don't hear correction. They hear, you are stupid. When you show evidence, they don't see truth, they see humiliation. Their nervous system goes into defense. Pride locks in. From that second on, every word you add pours fuel on a psychological fire. You see, once ego defense is active, your logic becomes the enemy. They experience your explanation as pressure, as control, as an attempt to dominate the conversation. Psychological reactance kicks in. The more you push, the more they must resist to feel free. They will twist your words, laugh, roll their eyes, or go ice cold, not because you are wrong, but because they must protect the story they live inside. And here is the trap. When you keep arguing in that state, you stop looking powerful and start looking needy. You are now chasing something. You are chasing being right. You are chasing their approval of your logic. You bring facts, they bring indifference. You raise your energy, they lower theirs. On the surface, who looks in control? The one calmly dismissing, not the one fighting to be understood. This is why high-value people refuse to play this game. The real sign of intelligence is not the perfect argument. It is the ability to see when the argument has become a performance to protect ego. Strategic people spot the shift early, the smirk, the defensive joke, the instant yeah but before you finish a sentence. That is their signal. Power is no longer in winning the point. Power is in walking away with your time and emotional freedom. So what do? They let the other person win the surface argument. They nod once, say fair enough, or we see it differently, and then they stop feeding the fire. On the outside, the other person feels victorious. Internally, the intelligent one has won something far more valuable. Their attention is unhooked, their energy is preserved, and their standards remain intact. Here is the concrete behavior. The moment you notice ego defense, lower your output. Shorten your responses. 1 sentence instead of 5. No more long explanations. You redirect, got it, do what you think is best, we'll see with time. If the conversation keeps circling, you calmly exit. I have to get back to work, let's pause this. No anger. No sarcasm. Just control. Now ask yourself, what happens to your attractiveness when you become the person who never fights for approval, only for your own standards? Strategy #2. Make your presence a limited edition. Your attractiveness rises the moment your presence stops being automatic. If you are always there, you fade into the background. The people who feel magnetic in every room are not louder or prettier. They are simply rarer. Think about it. What is always available is rarely valued. Water from the tap feels cheap. Water in the desert becomes priceless. Human attention follows the same logic. When your time, your replies. Your physical presence can be accessed at any moment. People's brains quietly file you under guaranteed. Guaranteed means low urgency. Low urgency means low respect. Robert Greene crystallizes this in Law 16. Use absence to increase respect and honor. You see, scarcity is not only about money or luxury goods. It is about attention, proximity, and access. When you are occasionally absent, when you are not the one constantly showing up, People are forced to confront a powerful question. Where are they? What are they doing? That question is the beginning of intrigue. Now translate this into your daily life. You respond instantly to every text. You heart every story within seconds. You say yes to every invitation, every call, every late night you up. You bring your energy to every event, every group chat, every random conversation. On the surface, it looks generous. Underneath, you are training people to see you as background, not a highlight. You become the person who is always there when they are bored, always there when their ego needs a quick boost, always there when no one else answered. This is why their excitement drops when you appear. You didn't lose value. You lost scarcity. The adjustment is simple, but it will feel uncomfortable at first. You slow your responses, not to play games, but to reclaim control of your attention. You don't reply the second your phone vibrates. You finish your task. You finish your workout. Then you answer. You occasionally decline invitations, even fun ones, because your time is not an all-you-can-eat buffet. The moment you stop treating it that way, others stop too. Create small pockets of mystery. You don't live stream every thought. You don't explain every hour. When someone asks, "What are you up to tonight?" you do not deliver a full itinerary. Got a few things to handle is enough. Silence around the details forces their imagination to work. Intermittent access, not constant access, is what creates emotional pull. Pattern interrupt. What if your need to be constantly available is not kindness, but fear? Fear of missing out. Fear of losing people. Fear of not being chosen. The real sign of intelligence is to recognize that your time is finite and to behave accordingly. This is not manipulation. This is alignment with truth. High-value people are not rude. They are selective. They understand that power comes from being a limited edition, not a public utility. In the next strategy, you will see how to combine this controlled absence with a calm, unbothered demeanor that makes people chase your presence even more. Inside strategy #2, the psychology of missing you. High-value people are not rude. They are selective. They understand that power comes from being a limited edition, not a public utility. And here is the twist most people never see. It is not your presence that creates desire. It is the experience of missing you. Think about it. The human brain is wired with a brutal bias, scarcity. When something feels rare, at risk of loss, or not guaranteed, people instinctively assign it more value. When it feels abundant and endlessly available, their attention drops, their energy drifts. The moment you are always there, always replying, always ready, their mind quietly concludes, "I can have this any time." And what can be had any time is rarely pursued. You see, this is not romance fluff. This is hard psychology. Studies on scarcity bias show that people will pay more, fight more, and obsess more over things that appear limited, even when they are objectively identical to the common option. The same law applies to your time, your presence, and your attention. When you are everywhere, you become background. When you are measured and scarce, you become an event. Now, let's begin to layer in something even more powerful. Intermittent reinforcement. In gambling research, the strongest addictions are created not by constant rewards, but by unpredictable ones. You do not win every time. You win occasionally. Randomly, that uncertainty glues the brain to the machine. Constant availability is like a slot machine that pays out every pull. Boring, predictable, the intelligent strategist understands that slight unpredictability in access makes people lean forward. So what does this look like in your daily life? It is simple, but not foolish. You take a little longer to reply, not to play games, but because you are actually busy. You do not attend every hangout, not to punish, but because you protect your schedule. You go offline, not in silent anger, but to work, train, read, rest. You give people space to notice your absence, to feel the contrast between when you are present and when you are not. This is why your intention matters. Disappearing to punish is emotional warfare, and it backfires. Strategic absence is different. While you are away, you are not sulking. You are building. You are investing that time into your projects, your body, your money, your skills, your peace. The real sign of intelligence is that your absence is productive, not petty. Over time, people sense this. They feel that when you are gone, your life does not freeze, it expands. Conversations become something they earn, not something they assume. And here is the real power move. When you start living a life that is full without them, people feel it. That is when they start leaning in, asking, chasing your presence. In the next strategy, you will see how to combine this quiet distance with a calm, unbothered demeanor that makes your return feel even more valuable than your absence. Strategy #3. Signal standards, not hunger when your life already feels full without them. Something subtle but powerful happens. The dynamic flips. You are no longer the applicant begging for a position. You become the position. And this is where most people sabotage themselves. Because instead of signaling standards, they signal hunger. High-value people are defined less by what they accept and more by what they calmly decline. Power is not only in what you do. Power is in what you refuse to tolerate. Think about it. The moment you stop accepting low-effort, low-respect behavior, your presence stops feeling cheap and starts feeling expensive. You see, low-value signals are rarely loud. They are quiet, everyday betrayals of your own standards. You laugh at disrespectful jokes aimed at you because you do not want to make it awkward. You tolerate last-minute cancellations from people who never apologize. You accept vague plans like we should hang out sometime and then clear your whole schedule when they finally send a lazy message. You reward inconsistent behavior with more attention, more explanation, more energy. From the outside, this looks like generosity, but psychologically, it broadcasts one thing: hunger. It tells people that their presence is a prize and your time is a discount item. Intelligent observers pick up on this instantly, even if they never say it out loud. The high-value adjustment is not aggression. It is calibration. You politely call out patterns instead of pretending not to notice. You set expectations instead of waiting to see how badly they will treat you. And when those standards are ignored, you do not start an argument, you start reducing access. Less time, slower replies, fewer favors, minimal emotional investment. Calm, not dramatic. Simple phrases become your armor. That doesn't work for me. I prefer clear plans. If you cancel last minute, let's skip next time. Short declarative lines that end the negotiation. No essays, no emotional speeches, no desperate attempt to prove that your standards are reasonable. The real sign of intelligence is that you state your terms once, then let people reveal whether they can meet them. This is why standards are magnetic. Standards imply options. If you can say no, people assume others are saying yes to you. If you can walk away, people assume you have somewhere better to walk to. Scarcity research shows that what appears limited feels more valuable. When your energy is not available on demand, attention toward you intensifies. So here is the question: how do you hold these standards and still appear calm, unbothered, almost effortlessly in control, instead of rigid or bitter? In the next strategy, you will see how to combine firm boundaries with a relaxed, almost playful nonchalance that makes people chase your approval without ever realizing why. Inside strategy #3. How boundaries create desire. The answer is boundaries. But not the way most people imagine them. People hear the word boundary and picture a wall, cold, rigid, pushing everyone away. In reality, high-value boundaries work more like rules of a game. They tell people how to interact with you. They create structure, and structure creates safety. You see, when others know what is acceptable and what is not, the conversation stops being chaotic. Your world feels ordered. Their mind relaxes. Think about it. Who feels more powerful in a relationship? The person who chases, adapts, and tolerates anything, or the person whose standards quietly shape how things happen? Boundaries are those standards in action. They are not an argument. They are not a speech. They are simply the conditions under which your time, your attention, and your energy are available. Here is the part most people never understand. People will unconsciously test those conditions. They send the late-night low-effort text. They forget to pay you back. They ask you to stay late at work without compensation. On the surface, it looks foolish or selfish. Underneath, there is a deeper question. Do you respect yourself enough to say no? The moment you fail that test, respect drops. If you do not protect your value, why should they? When you calmly enforce a boundary, something subtle shifts. You become less predictable because you are no longer controlled by their desires in the moment. You become more self-contained because your mood does not depend on their reaction. This is why you suddenly feel more intriguing. Intelligent people sense that they cannot move you with simple ego games. They have to rise to meet your standards or lose access. Picture 3 simple moves. You stop answering low-effort messages at 1 a.m. without drama. You decline unpaid extra work unless it clearly leads to a result you want. You step back from a one-sided friendship where you always listen, always support, and receive nothing but excuses. No lecture, no emotional explosion. You quietly adjust your availability. Over time, people either step up or they fade out. Both outcomes increase your power. The real sign of intelligence is that you do not chase either outcome. You let behavior reveal the truth. You see who corrects themselves when access is reduced, and who only valued you when you were free and convenient. Now here is the pattern interrupt. Stop asking, how do I make them like me? Start asking, does their behavior qualify for more of my time? That single question flips the frame. You are no longer auditioning. You are evaluating. In the next strategy, you will see how to combine these boundaries with a relaxed, almost playful distance that makes people compete for your presence without ever hearing you demand a thing. Strategy #4. Master the art of slow replies that relaxed, almost playful distance becomes very real in the next arena, your phone. In the digital world, most people don't just chase with words or favors. They chase with response speed. And they give away more power through instant replies than through any direct confession of need. Think about it. How many times have you stared at your screen, watching those 3 dots, feeling your energy spiral because they took 10 minutes, an hour, 3 hours to respond? You send one message, no reply. You send another to clarify. Then you open the chat 12 times, scanning for a tiny green dot like it's the truth about your worth. That is not conversation. That is digital begging. You see, response speed is not neutral. It is a live signal of emotional dependence. When you answer someone in 30 seconds while they answer you in 3 hours, you are broadcasting an unequal value dynamic. You are saying, your attention controls my state. My attention barely touches yours. The moment that pattern locks in, attraction dies, and entitlement grows. Intelligent people reverse this. They do not play the foolish game of pretending not to care while secretly living in their notifications. They practice the discipline of slowing down. They match the other person's pace or even slow it slightly, not as a performance, but as a reflection of a life that is actually full. Messages get answered when it fits their schedule, not their anxiety. This is why mastering slow replies is not about being cold. It is about reclaiming control. When your phone buzzes, you pause. You finish your task, your workout, your conversation with someone who is physically in front of you. Then, when you are centered, you respond. Suddenly, the frame flips. Your time is the scarce resource. Your attention is the luxury item. Micro-absence is powerful. A small delay creates a tiny gap in the other person's mind. In that gap, they wonder what you are doing, who you are with, why you are not instantly available. Intermittent attention activates the same psychology as scarcity and intermittent rewards. People invest more thought, more imagination, more desire into what is not constantly in their hand. Strategic distance turns a simple text into a subtle source of anticipation. But be careful. Weaponized silence is different from grounded distance. Passive-aggressive delays, waiting 3 days to teach a lesson, or replying with cold one-word answers are still ego games. They keep you emotionally entangled because your behavior is a reaction, not a decision. The real sign of intelligence is calm detachment. You answer when it genuinely suits you, with warmth, clarity, and no hidden argument. In the next strategy, you will see how to combine this timing control with selective revelation, so that every message, every interaction, feels valuable precisely because people never feel like they have all of you. Inside strategy #4, when silence speaks louder than words now, let's begin to weaponize something most people underestimate: silence. Everyone is obsessed with what to say, how to reply, how to fix the conversation. High-value people obsess over something else entirely, when not to respond at all. Think about it. How many draining situations in your life exist only because you kept feeding them with attention? You get the disrespectful comment disguised as a joke, the low-foot weird from someone who only appears when they are bored, the manipulative guilt trip. Wow, I guess you're too busy for real friends now. In all of these cases, any response, even a clever one, rewards bad behavior. You turn their disrespect into a successful strategy. You show them that if they poke your ego, they get your energy. This is why silence in these moments is not weakness. It is control. You are refusing to enter an argument where the very act of engaging means they win. The foolish person wants a reaction, not the truth. They want you explaining, defending, clarifying, while they sit back and enjoy the power of having you emotionally activated. When you go quiet, you remove their fuel. You see, intelligent people use silence as feedback. They do not send long essays about standards. Their standard is communicated through access. If you speak with respect, you get a response. If you bring value, you get their time. If you cross certain lines, the conversation simply ends. No dramatic speech, no emotional performance, just absence. Over time, this creates a very clear map in other people's minds. Disrespect equals distance. Games equal distance. Low effort equals distance. Your silence becomes a mirror that forces them to confront their own behavior, because they can no longer hide behind endless back-and-forth arguments. To apply this, adopt a simple rule. When in doubt, delay. The moment a message triggers strong emotion, anger, panic, guilt, the urge to prove yourself, that is your signal to stop. Do not text back in the heat of the surge. Do not call to clear things up. Wait until your nervous system is calm, then ask a ruthless question. Does this message even deserve a reply? If the answer is no, your silence is the reply. The real sign of intelligence is not crafting the perfect comeback. It is realizing that some people are not entitled to any comeback at all. Power is not about winning every interaction. Power is about deciding which interactions exist. But what happens when people finally realize they can no longer control you with urgency, drama, or guilt, when their old tricks fall flat against your silence, and they start escalating to regain your attention? Strategy Shack 5. Become the one with options. That is when most people panic. They go back to the oldest, weakest strategy in human psychology, chasing. They start calling more, explaining more, proving more. In their fear of losing one person, they quietly lose their power. The real reason this happens is not love, loyalty, or passion. It is scarcity. You convince yourself, this is my only shot. This person, this job, this group, if I lose them, I have nothing. Think about it. The moment your brain believes something is your only option, it will tolerate disrespect, delay, and emotional chaos, because the alternative feels like total emptiness. Machiavelli understood this perfectly. A ruler who depends on one ally is already defeated. One cancelled alliance, and his entire position collapses. You see, people chase hardest when they have built their entire identity around one source of validation. One partner, one friend group, one boss, one audience. That is not loyalty. That is addiction. So the Machiavellian move is simple but ruthless. You quietly become the one with options. You build multiple sources of validation, opportunity, and connection, so no single person feels like your lifeline. You stop acting like a beggar at one door and start living like someone who can walk down an entire street of doors and knock on any of them with calm confidence. How does that look in real life? You expand your social circle instead of orbiting one person. You join new groups, attend different events, talk to people outside your usual type. You improve your skills so your career does not depend on one manager's mood. You explore multiple career paths, side projects, or clients, so one rejection becomes an inconvenience, not a crisis. You nurture hobbies that give you independent fulfillment, so your emotional state is not dictated by whether someone texts you back. Pattern interrupt. What would change if, starting tomorrow, you quietly doubled your options in every area of life? Not tomorrow's feelings, tomorrow's options. The conversations you start, the skills you practice, the rooms you enter. When you have options, your behavior transforms. You negotiate instead of beg. You set standards instead of making excuses for foolish behavior. You walk away faster from disrespect. Because loss of one connection does not threaten your survival. Your energy becomes calmer, more grounded, more attractive. People feel that you are choosing them, not clinging to them. This is why the most magnetic individuals seem relaxed under pressure. They are not fearless. They are diversified. The real sign of intelligence is not clinging harder to one door. It is knowing you can build another door if this one closes. And here is the final twist. Options are not only about numbers. They are about belief. The belief that you can create new opportunities if one path disappears. Once that belief is installed, your entire frame shifts. You stop chasing approval and start selecting alignment. In the next strategy, you will see how to weaponize this frame by controlling not only your options, but your visibility. Inside strategy #5, status signals of someone in demand once that belief is installed. The game becomes optical. Power turns into what Machiavelli would call theater. Not fake performance, but visible proof that you are in demand. And the most convincing proof is not what you say, it is how you behave when people are inconsistent with you. Think about it. A person with real abundance does not emotionally collapse because someone cancels a plan. They do not send 3 follow-up messages chasing an answer. They register the data, adjust their schedule, and move on. No argument. No dramatic speech. The moment you stop overreacting to cancellations, you send a silent message. I am not dependent on you for my mood, my time, or my sense of value. You see, intelligent people notice that overinvestment is a status leak. You meet someone new, the conversation feels electric, and your ego wants to go all in immediately. You start rearranging your calendar, answering instantly, over-explaining your attention. That is when your perceived value drops. High-value people do the opposite. Early on, they invest lightly. They are warm, but measured. Interested, but not absorbed. This is why they can walk away from minor conflicts without chasing closure. Their peace is more important than being right. Look at their life structure. People who are in demand usually have full calendars, personal projects, and a clear direction that does not pause for anyone's inconsistency. They have work that absorbs their energy, habits that stabilize their emotions, and goals that exist beyond any single relationship. Someone flakes, their day is still packed. Someone pulls away, their trajectory does not bend. The real sign of intelligence here is that their schedule itself becomes a status signal. You can mirror this without pretending. First, you schedule your life. Lock in your workouts, deep work, learning, and rest. Then you fit people into that structure instead of leaving your time wide open, hoping they will fill it. You stop saying whenever, I'm free all week, and start saying, I can do Tuesday after 6, because that is actually true. Your calendar reflects control, not emptiness. Verbal cues reinforce this frame. I've got a packed week, but I can do Thursday. I can't do last minute. Let's plan for next time. These lines are not games. They are statements of reality that imply your attention is already claimed and valuable. In conversation, they create subtle psychological reactance in others. Your limited availability makes them lean forward. They feel they are entering something scarce, not something begging to be used. And here is the twist that most people miss. When you start living like someone with options, people feel it before they understand it. Your calm response to disrespect, your structured time, your non-negotiable priorities, these become quiet status signals. Suddenly, they are the ones checking your availability, adjusting to your rhythm, competing for a place in your limited schedule. In the next strategy, you will see how to combine this with controlled distance and visibility so that even your absence pulls attention toward you. Strategy #6. Control the frame. Don't fight inside it. They are now orbiting your schedule, your standards, your time. But there is another layer of power most people never see. It is not about what you say. It is about the invisible lens through which every interaction is interpreted. That lens is the frame. A frame is the unspoken agreement about what is happening, who has power, and what is at stake. It defines whether this is a casual chat, a serious negotiation, a performance, or an audition. You see, the person who controls the frame controls how every word, every silence, every delay is interpreted. The real sign of intelligence is not winning the argument inside the frame. It is choosing the frame itself. Chasers always accept bad frames. You show up to a date that was confirmed last minute, and without noticing you accept the frame, you are the backup plan. You stay on a call while someone scrolls through their phone, and you accept the frame. Your attention is entertainment, not value. You respond instantly to disrespectful messages, and you accept the frame. You are an applicant trying to prove your worth. Then you fight desperately inside that role, using logic to fix a situation that is rigged against you. Think about it. Have you ever felt confused because your words were strong, but your position still felt weak? That is frame at work. They act like the prize. You act like the pursuer. They make you explain, justify, and chase. You are arguing about details, while the deeper truth is that the entire conversation is happening on their terms. High-value people do something different. They do not attack the frame with emotional arguments. They redefine it calmly through action. The moment you receive a last-minute invite, you do not complain. You reschedule. Tonight doesn't work. Let's do next week. 7 p.m. New frame. Your time is planned, not waiting. When someone makes a disrespectful joke at your expense, you do not laugh along and then sulk later. You pause, look them in the eye, and say, "That doesn't work for me." New frame. Your dignity is non-negotiable. Notice what is missing here. There is no long speech, no dramatic debate about respect, no emotional outburst. Frame control is subtle. It is not about arguing over definitions. It is about behaving as if your definition of the situation is already reality. Intelligent people use their attention and energy to enforce standards, not to explain standards endlessly to foolish people. In this video, you are going to learn how this works in more intense situations too. When someone tries to guilt trip you, triangulate you, or use silence as a weapon. Because there is a darker, more advanced form of frame control that most never see until it is too late. Inside strategy #6, walking away as the ultimate frame shift. And this is where the most brutal, most elegant move appears. You stop explaining and you walk away. Not dramatically, not with a speech, with calm, controlled indifference. Because the moment you stay and argue, you silently accept a poisonous frame, that their approval, their attention, their validation is something you have to earn. You bring standards, they bring guilt. You bring clarity, they bring drama. You see, as long as you keep defending yourself, you are agreeing to an invisible contract. You are the judge, I am the applicant. That is why you feel smaller every minute the conversation continues. The real sign of intelligence is noticing that frame and refusing to play inside it. Think about it. When someone keeps pushing, testing, disrespecting, what are they really checking? They are not searching for truth. They are measuring how much power they have over your time, your emotions, your energy. Every extra message you send, every extra call you take, is proof that they control the frame. Intelligent people break that experiment in one move. They end the interaction. Quietly ending a call, standing up and leaving a conversation, declining further contact without a dramatic argument, sends a signal far louder than any speech. You are not auditioning here. You are not on trial. You are not trying to win them over. You are deciding where your attention goes. This is why walking away is the ultimate frame shift. It turns the spotlight from "do they choose me?" to "do I even choose this?" Machiavelli understood this perfectly. Princes did not beg to be liked. They set terms. They projected that their presence was valuable. Their time was scarce. Their standards were non-negotiable. Those who could not respect those terms lost access. Access was the privilege, not the default. When you walk away, you are using the same optics of power on a smaller scale. You are saying, without words, this throne does not move for you. So how do you do it in real life without theatrics? You say calmly, "This doesn't feel productive. Let's pause." You say, "I'm not interested in being spoken to like that. I'm heading out." On the phone, "I've said what I needed to say. I'm going to go now." Then you actually leave. No extra argument, no last emotional paragraph. Control the exit, and you control the frame. Now, pattern interrupt. Why are you still asking, "How do I win them over?" What happens when you ask instead, "Is this frame even worthy of me?" That single question flips the entire psychology of attraction. And in the next section, you are going to see how absence and scarcity turn that new frame into raw magnetic power. Strategy #7. Use mystery, not oversharing. If scarcity flips the frame, mystery protects it. Most people do the exact opposite. They meet someone new and immediately start unloading their entire life story. Every trauma, every fear, every unfiltered feeling, as if emotional dumping will force connection. Think about it. How many conversations have you turned into a live documentary of your past because you wanted to be understood as fast as possible? That is chasing in psychological form. You are chasing understanding. You are chasing validation. You are arguing for your own worth with biography instead of logic. The moment you feel that urge to overshare, your ego is secretly begging. "Please see all of me right now so you don't leave." High-value people do not move like that. They are not in a rush to be fully seen because their power does not depend on instant emotional approval. You see intelligent, magnetic people reveal themselves in layers, gradually, deliberately. They let people discover them, not consume them. They understand what Machiavelli understood about rulers. What is fully exposed loses its aura. When every page of your inner life is available on demand, you kill intrigue, you remove tension, you remove the emotional distance that attraction needs to breathe. Mystery is not a trick, it is controlled access. It means some questions go unanswered for now. Some parts of your life stay unposted. Some emotions remain unspoken until trust, loyalty, and consistency are proven. You are not cold, you are curated. You are not hiding, you are pacing. This is why the most desirable people feel deep yet hard to fully grasp. There is always one more room in the palace you have not entered. So how do you do this in practice? Early on, answer personal questions briefly instead of turning them into 3-hour monologues. Someone asks about your last relationship. You keep it simple. We weren't aligned long term. I learned a lot. Then redirect the conversation back to the present. Heavy topic appears on the table. You acknowledge it, touch it lightly, and move on. That's a big story, I'll tell you another time. You are not evasive. You are signaling that deeper access must be earned. In this video, you are going to learn why this pacing is not deception. Mystery is not lying. Lying is falsifying the truth. Mystery is managing when and how the truth is revealed so that attention, energy, and respect grow over time, instead of peaking in one chaotic oversharing session. The real sign of intelligence is understanding that emotional disclosure follows the same law as scarcity. What is rare, measured, and earned feels valuable. And here is the strategic twist. When you stop flooding people with information, you force their mind to work. They wonder. They imagine. They invest. Their own curiosity does the chasing for you. In the next section, you are going to see how to combine this mystery with calibrated distance so that your silence, your absence, and your limited access become the most persuasive argument you never speak. Inside Strategy Stack 7, the allure of the unposted life now. Let's begin the next layer of this, because mystery is not only about what you say. It is about what you never broadcast. In a world where everyone is live streaming their breakfast, their arguments, their tears, and their fake smiles, the unposted life becomes a weapon. Think about it. Constant posting looks like connection on the surface. But what does it really communicate when every emotion becomes a story and every minor event becomes content? The signal underneath is loud. I am bored. I am lonely. I need your validation to feel real. You see, high-frequency posting often exposes a low-frequency life. The more you chase digital attention, the more you confess that you have nothing more powerful to protect. This is why the most magnetic people are rarely the ones shouting the most online. You notice they appear, then disappear. They share selectively. A photo after the event, not a shaky video during it. A calm announcement of an achievement, not a long defensive essay explaining why they deserve it. They let the results speak, while everyone else is trapped in an endless argument with invisible critics. You bring your whole day to the internet. They bring a single, sharp highlight. You write paragraphs of explanation. They drop one composed image and vanish. You chase comments. They control curiosity. The real sign of intelligence is understanding that attention is not free. Every post is a small leak of power. Machiavelli would say, a prince does not reveal every corridor of the palace. Robert Greene would add, what is scarce becomes desirable. When you live as a 24/7 broadcast, there is no scarcity, no distance, no tension. People feel they already have you. There is nothing left to win. So you adopt a different strategy. You build a private life that does not need an audience. You go to dinner and your phone stays in your pocket. You travel and post a week later, if at all. You succeed and let the numbers, the promotion, the visible change in your lifestyle speak for you. The moment you stop needing to prove, your ego calms down, and your urge to chase likes, replies, and constant conversation drops sharply. Some relationships never touch the internet at all. No soft launch hints, no cryptic quotes, no public arguments. They exist entirely offline, where foolish spectators cannot contaminate them. This reduces drama, but more importantly, it creates an aura. People sense that you have connections, alliances, maybe even romances, that they will never fully see. In this video, you are going to learn how that aura becomes leverage. Because what happens when people slowly realize that they are only seeing 20% of your life and that the other 80% is where your real power, your real options, and your real influence live. In the next section, we are going to push that realization to the limit and turn their curiosity into a controlled addiction. Strategy #8. Invest in yourself more than in their opinion. So now the question becomes brutal and simple. While they are obsessing over you, what are you obsessing over? Them, or your own evolution? This is where most people quietly lose all their power. They build their entire emotional weather around one person's reply, one message, one reaction, instead of around a mission that would attract 10 times better people automatically. The most magnetic individuals share one trait. They are busy. Not fake busy, not performative busy, but deeply absorbed in building something. A stronger body, a sharper mind, a business, a craft, a purpose that dwarfs any single conversation. You see, when your days are full of training, learning, creating, and resting with discipline, no person's delay or disinterest can dominate your mood. They become a detail in your story, not the plot. Think about it. How much attention have you burned rereading texts, stalking social media, replaying old arguments in your head, trying to decode every micro signal? That is elite fuel. That is focus that could have been invested into skills, knowledge, and resilience. The moment you start chasing their response, you stop advancing your own position on the chessboard. You move from player to piece. Machiavelli understood this clearly. Power in the long run does not come from other people's approval. It comes from your internal resources, your competence, your discipline, your ability to survive loss and come back stronger. Robert Greene's characters who hold the most influence are rarely the ones begging to be liked. They are the ones whose value is undeniable because they can build, solve, lead, or walk away without collapsing. Here is the pattern most never question. You feel anxious, so you reach for your phone. You send another message, watch their stories, check who they follow. It feels like you are doing something intelligent, managing the situation, protecting your ego. In reality, you are training your brain to believe that your worth lives outside of you. This is why your anxiety grows instead of shrinking. Pattern interrupt. Next time you feel that pull, do the opposite. Phone down. Go train. Read 10 pages. Build a system for your money. Work on your craft for one focused hour. Or deliberately rest so your nervous system resets. You are redirecting the same energy, the same urge to control, into something that actually compounds. The real sign of intelligence is this shift, from monitoring their perception to upgrading your reality. As you become more competent, your standards rise. As you become more self-respecting, your nonchalance stops being an act. You are no longer pretending not to care. You genuinely have more important things to protect. People feel this instantly. Your silence is no longer a tactic. It is a side effect of a full life. Your scarcity is not a game. It is the natural result of having priorities. In the next section, we are going to turn that quiet, earned confidence into a strategic signal that makes others compete for a place in your world instead of you competing for a place in theirs. Inside Strategy 8. The quiet confidence of self-sufficiency now. Let's begin to weaponize that inner quiet. When you are truly self-sufficient, your entire presence shifts. Your body stops broadcasting hunger. Your shoulders loosen. Your jaw softens. Your breathing slows. You walk into a room without scanning for approval, without chasing attention with nervous jokes or constant conversation. You sit, you observe, you respond when it makes sense. Think about it. Who has more power in any interaction? The person fidgeting for validation, or the one who looks like they could stand up, walk away, and be perfectly fine? This is why the energy of real self-sufficiency is so magnetic. Your posture is relaxed, not collapsed. Your speech slows down. You do not rush to fill every silence because silence does not threaten you. Small slights, delayed replies, someone forgetting to invite you, they barely register. You see, when you know you can handle life alone if necessary, every minor disrespect is no longer a crisis to manage. It is data to evaluate. And here is the paradox. The more you can walk away, the less you tolerate what you should never have accepted in the first place. You do not argue with disrespect. You do not beg for clarity. You do not make long emotional speeches to convince people to treat you correctly. You have standards, and those standards are backed by the ultimate leverage. You are not afraid of being alone or starting over. The moment you are willing to lose them, you stop losing yourself. People feel this without you saying a word. They sense that you are with them by choice, not by desperation. Your attention becomes rare. Your time feels expensive. Social exchange theory would say your perceived value rises while your apparent cost drops. In plain language, you are not chasing, so you do not trigger their psychological reactance. They do not feel pushed, so they do not need to pull away. Instead, they lean in. How do you build this energy in a world that trains you to cling? You practice being complete on your own. You travel alone, even if it is just a day trip to a nearby city where no one knows you. You take yourself on solo dates, learning to enjoy a meal, a movie, a walk without needing an audience. You learn skills in private, not for social media, but for your own competence and control. You make decisions without polling 10 people, and you learn to live with the consequences. At that point, self-sufficiency stops being a theory and becomes muscle memory. The real sign of intelligence is that you no longer need to announce your independence. It leaks through your micro-behaviors. And here is the hook for the next shift. When you stop needing anyone to complete you, you become the person everyone wants to be near, because you radiate something they cannot control. And what they cannot control, they cannot stop thinking about. Micro-discipline, #1. Match, don't chase, their effort now. Let's begin the first micro-discipline that protects that aura you are starting to radiate. Match their effort, do not chase it. This is a daily rule, almost mechanical. If you violate it, you leak power without noticing. The rule is simple, you match their effort, and if you exceed it, you do so by a very small margin, especially in the early stages of any relationship, deal, or opportunity. 1 step from them, 1 to 1.5 from you, never 10. Think about it. The moment you sprint while they stroll, the frame flips, you become the pursuer, they become the prize, even when they have done nothing to earn that status. You see, over-giving early creates a lopsided dynamic that is very hard to correct later. You invest time, attention, energy. They invest curiosity at best, ego at worst. You chase, they lean back. You explain, they reply with one-word answers. You suggest, they see how they feel. This is how intelligent people accidentally train others to value them less, because they signal that their own value is cheap and endlessly available. Concrete reality makes this obvious. They send one-line texts, you respond with essays, paragraphs of thought, jokes, validation. They reply 3 hours later with haha true. Who holds the power in that conversation? They cancel plans twice. You keep suggesting new dates, new places, new ways to accommodate them. Psychological reactance kicks in. The more you push, the more their ego feels its freedom threatened, so it pulls away and quietly devalues you. Watch what happens when you reverse it. They send one line, you send 1 or 2. Clear, warm, but not overflowing. They cancel twice, you stop suggesting. You do not start an argument, you do not deliver a speech about respect, you simply let the pattern reveal itself. The real sign of intelligence is that you use behavior, not begging, to correct the imbalance. This discipline is not pettiness, it is calibration. Matching effort is how you separate people who are genuinely interested from those who only enjoy being chased. One group increases their investment when you slow down. The other disappears the second the free attention stops. Both outcomes are useful. Both protect your control. So here is your assignment. Audit the last 7 days of your life. Where did you dramatically outinvest others? Whose messages did you answer instantly while they answered you when they were bored? Whose time did you rearrange while they treated yours as optional? Start pulling that back, one interaction at a time. Because once you stop pouring energy into one-sided exchanges, something unexpected happens next. And this is where the psychology of attraction becomes far more dangerous and far more profitable for you. Micro-discipline, #2. Delay your first reaction. That unexpected shift only happens when you master the next discipline. You stop reacting like everyone else. You stop being emotionally available on demand. You see, attraction dies fastest in the presence of instant, unfiltered reaction. Your first reaction is almost never intelligent. It is insecure, it is fear, It is ego sprinting to protect itself. Someone takes too long to reply, and your fingers itch to double text, to explain, to check in. Someone pulls away, and you want to chase, clarify, pour out a wall of messages so they do not misinterpret you. Think about it. How many times has that first impulse led you straight into over-explaining, emotional dumping, or a desperate argument that made you look weaker? This is why you need microdiscipline number 2. Delay your first reaction. A simple rule, but brutal at the beginning. The moment you feel that urge to respond instantly, especially when you feel triggered, you do not respond. You wait. 10 minutes. 30 minutes. An hour. You pick a minimum delay, and you obey it, like law. At that point, something powerful happens. The chemical storm in your body starts to calm down. Your ego cools. Your breathing slows. Your higher self walks back into the room. Now you are not texting from panic. You are not speaking from wounded pride. You are choosing. You can send a calmer, shorter, more controlled response. Or you can send nothing at all. Silence becomes an option again. Look at how this changes the power dynamic. You used to reply in seconds, while they replied in hours. You used to write essays while they sent 3 words. You were broadcasting your emotions in real time, giving them a live map of your insecurity. Now the delay scrambles that map. They cannot easily read you. They cannot predict your reaction. They cannot pull your strings, because you are no longer performing on cue. Psychological reactance tells us that when people feel pushed, they resist and devalue what is pushing. When you chase with instant reactions, you are pushing your energy into them. When you pause, you pull that energy back into yourself. Suddenly you look unshakable, not because you feel nothing, but because you do not leak everything. Here is the pattern interrupt. Stop asking, "What do I say right now?" That question is about anxiety. Start asking, "What response protects my power an hour from now?" That question is about strategy. The real sign of intelligence is not the perfect comeback in the moment. It is the ability to sacrifice the moment to protect your long-term aura. In the next discipline, you will see how this delayed, controlled presence turns into something even more dangerous: selective mystery. Microdiscipline, #3. Never explain more than once that delayed presence becomes lethal when you combine it with the next rule of scarcity. You never explain yourself twice. The moment you start repeating your reasons, you stop looking powerful and start looking like you are trying to convince a jury. Of what? That you are allowed to have standards. Think about it. How many times have you found yourself in the same conversation, with the same person, explaining the same boundary again and again? You say no, they push. You clarify, they don't understand. You bring logic, they bring pressure. That is not confusion. That is a test. And every extra explanation is a little public confession that your own rules are negotiable. You see, high-value people treat their words like contracts, not like suggestions. They state their position once, calmly and clearly. If someone keeps pushing, they do not assume a lack of comprehension. They assume a lack of respect. Intelligent people understand that when someone repeatedly ignores your stated boundary, the real conversation is no longer about truth or logic. It is about control. This is why you need a simple rule: say it once, then switch from explanation to enforcement. No second lecture. No emotional essay. No defensive argument. You are not a customer service representative for your own life. You make a statement, then you let your actions become the only clarification they will ever get. For example, you say, "I don't lend money." Not "I don't lend money because last time." Not "I don't lend money but maybe for you." One clean sentence. The next time they ask, you do not reopen the case. You repeat a short no, and you do not apologize. The consequence is built in. They learn that your finances are not available for negotiation. Another example. You say, "I don't do last minute." You say it once when you are invited to something thrown at you 2 hours before it starts. The next time they send a last-minute invite, you do not send a paragraph about feeling disrespected. You simply decline. No drama, no argument, no extended conversation. Over time, people either plan with you in advance or they stop inviting you to chaotic situations. Both outcomes protect your energy. In this video, you are going to learn how this pattern scales to every area of your life. When people realize you do not debate your own standards, something powerful happens. They either rise to meet them, or they quietly remove themselves. In the next discipline, you will see how that quiet, unapologetic consistency turns into an aura of mystery that pulls the right people toward you without a single word of persuasion. Microdiscipline, #4. Stop volunteering for disrespect. That aura of mystery means nothing if you keep walking back into places that treat you like you are ordinary. The real sign of intelligence is not how well you endure disrespect. It is how ruthlessly you stop volunteering for it. Most people think chasing is about dramatic confessions, constant texting, obvious begging. Think about it. Chasing often looks far more subtle. You repeatedly show up in rooms where you are ignored, mocked, or quietly taken for granted. You bring value, they bring indifference. You show loyalty, they show convenience. Every time you return, you are teaching those people one thing: you can underpay me in respect, and I will still show up. This is why your first micro-discipline here is brutal self-audit. Where do you consistently leave feeling smaller? Look at your group chats. Are you the one who always replies, always supports, and your messages die in silence? Look at your workplace. Do you overperform while others get the credit, the promotion, the praise? Look at your social circles. Do you walk away from dinners and parties feeling like a background character in your own life? You see, this is not about hurt feelings. This is about power optics. When you tolerate those dynamics, you are signaling low status without saying a word. Psychological reactance works here too. The more your attention chases people who undervalue it, the more their ego devalues you to protect its freedom. The moment you notice this pattern, you are at a crossroads. Keep performing for scraps, or change the script. So here is the rule. If a space repeatedly lowers your self-respect, you either change your role in it, or you leave. No third option. Changing your role means you stop over-functioning. You stop explaining. You stop filling every silence with effort. You set boundaries on your time, your emotional labor, your availability. Leaving means you quietly remove your presence, your energy, your access, without a dramatic argument or emotional announcement. Machiavelli understood this. A prince who begs for loyalty loses it. A ruler who withdraws favor suddenly becomes fascinating. When you exit disrespectful spaces, even silently, the first person who receives the message is you. You are telling your own nervous system, your own subconscious, my value is not up for negotiation. That internal shift is where scarcity is born. Your attention becomes rare. Your presence becomes selective. Your ego stops chasing arguments it never needed to be in. In this video, you are going to learn how this one discipline reshapes your entire social map. Because once you stop fighting for a seat in rooms that never deserved you, a new question appears. What happens when you walk toward the rooms that are already watching the door, waiting for you to arrive? Identity upgrade. From chaser to chooser, that is where the upgrade happens. Because those rooms are not for chasers. Those rooms are for choosers. The moment you understand that, your entire psychology of power has to change. Behavior always bows to identity. If, beneath all your logic and self-help, you still see yourself as the underdog begging to be picked, you will act like it. You will over-explain. You will overgive. You will enter every conversation as if you are on trial, trying to prove your worth to people who have not proven anything to you. Think about it. How many times have you walked into a date, a job interview, a social event with one silent question running in the background? I hope they like me. That one line turns you into the petitioner. It places your ego below theirs before a single word is spoken. Intelligent people notice this script and delete it. They install a new one. You are not the applicant. You are the curator. You are the chooser of who gets access to your limited attention, your emotional energy, your time. You see, once you adopt that identity, the power dynamic flips without any loud argument or dramatic speech. You do not chase, you evaluate. You are not trying to convince, you are observing whether this person, this group, this opportunity deserves a place in your life. This is why the most magnetic people look so calm. Internally, their question is different. It is not, am I enough for them? It is, do they fit my standards, my values, my long-term strategy? That one shift sounds small, but it rewires your micro-behaviors. You ask more questions. You listen longer. You watch how they treat others. you move slower, and you refuse to rush into commitments that cost you control. Notice what disappears: the nervous oversharing, the need to fill every silence, the compulsive texting to keep their attention alive. When you are the chooser, silence is not awkward, it is data. Their reaction to your calm distance tells you everything about their maturity, their ego, and their respect for your value. At this point, some people get it wrong and swing into arrogance. That is not what we are talking about. This is not, I am better than everyone. This is, my life is not open access. The real sign of intelligence is quiet self-respect, not loud superiority. The most desirable people assume they are the prize, but they do not scream it. They demonstrate it through standards and boundaries. Pattern interrupt. What if, from this moment on, you banned the sentence, "I hope they like me," from your inner conversation? Replace it with, "I am here to see who aligns with my mission." Now let's begin to make that identity real in practice, because in the next part you will see the specific behaviors that instantly signal you are the chooser, even before you say a word. Identity scripts, the phrases high-value people never say. You can't build a high-value identity with low-value sentences slipping out of your mouth. The moment you say them, your frame collapses. Think about it. You spend all this effort acting like the chooser, then one needy phrase leaks out and tells the truth of your psychology. Listen to the most common chasing scripts. "Please just give me a chance. I'll do anything." "Sorry for bothering you again. I know I'm annoying, but on the surface, they sound polite, humble, even reasonable. Underneath, they broadcast something very different. You are above me. My value depends on your response. I'm prepared to abandon my standards to keep your attention. You see, language is not neutral. Every sentence is an announcement of status. When you speak like a beggar, people relate to you like a beggar. You lower your own price in the social marketplace. In Machiavellian terms, you are staging your own loss of power in public, teaching others to see you as dependent, predictable, and easy to manipulate. You say, "Please just give me a chance," and you think you're being sincere. They hear, "No one else wants me enough, so I'm petitioning you." You say, "I'll do anything," and you believe you're showing commitment. They hear, "I have no boundaries. You can set the terms, I will adapt." This is why the most magnetic people ruthlessly delete these scripts from their vocabulary. They understand that once you confess desperation, the conversation is no longer about truth or logic. It becomes a silent argument about who needs whom more. So what do high-value people say instead? They use phrases that assume equality, even a slight selectiveness. If it works, great. If not, no worries. Here's what I can offer. Let me know if this aligns with you. Notice the difference. You are not begging for approval, you are presenting an option. You are not chasing, you are evaluating fit. This is not fake confidence, it is strategic control of your energy. You decide that your attention is valuable, so your language reflects that decision. The real sign of intelligence here is simple. You never use words that put you beneath the person you're speaking to. Your practical task is brutal awareness. Catch yourself mid-sentence. You feel sorry for bothering you again, rising? Stop, replace it with, following up once more, then I'll assume it's not the right time. You were about to write, "I know I'm annoying, but..." Change it to, "If this isn't a fit, no problem at all." Same situation, completely different power dynamic. As your sentences change, your social gravity changes. Watch how quickly people's tone, speed of reply, and level of respect begin to shift. In the next part, you will see how your actions and silence can communicate this same high-value frame, even when you say nothing at all. Social dynamics, who's actually watching you, your words set the frame, but your actions announce your value. And here's what most people never realize. While you obsess over the one person not replying, an entire audience is quietly studying how you handle it. In every environment there is a hidden balcony. At work, in your friend group, in your online community, there are silent observers leaning over that railing, watching. They notice who gets disrespected, who laughs it off, who chases, who withdraws. They notice who bleeds energy trying to force attention from people who clearly don't care. You see, they are not listening to your excuses. They are reading your standards. Think about it. You chase the colleague who ignores your messages, the friend who only calls when they need something, the person online who treats you like a backup option. You double text. You over-explain. You keep the conversation alive when it should be dead. To you, it feels like persistence. To the balcony, it looks like you do not recognize your own worth. Powerful observers draw ruthless conclusions from this. If you tolerate scarcity, you must not be scarce. If you beg for attention, your attention must not be valuable. Status signaling research shows that over-eagerness is read as low status. People instinctively devalue what is chasing them. The real sign of intelligence is understanding that every time you run after low-value individuals, you're broadcasting a message: my time is cheap. My boundaries are negotiable. My self-respect is for sale. Now flip the scene. Same balcony, same observers, different behavior. Someone plays games with your time, responds when it's convenient, tests your patience. This time, you do not argue, you do not launch into a dramatic speech, you do not start an emotional negotiation. You calmly withdraw. You match their distance. You redirect your attention to people and projects that actually deserve your energy. This is why strategic indifference is so powerful. The moment you stop chasing, the frame reverses. High-value people, decision-makers, quiet leaders start to notice. They see that you do not fight to stay in low-quality conversations. You do not make a scene. You simply remove access. To them, that signals options, discipline, and control. It tells them you are operating on standards, not on ego. Machiavelli understood this perfectly. In a Renaissance court, a prince was never managing only one relationship. Every reward, every punishment, every public gesture was a message to the entire court. This is how I expect to be treated. Favor given to freely created parasites. Favor withdrawn calmly created respect. The court watched who could walk away and who crawled back. Your life works the same way. The room is always watching. So here is the uncomfortable question. If you knew exactly who was secretly paying attention to how you handle being ignored, would you still chase the same people? Or would your next move look very different? Attention as currency. Spend it like a prince, so let's make the power dynamic even clearer. In that invisible audience that's always watching you chase, there is one thing they are really measuring: where your attention goes. Your attention is your real currency. Time, focus, emotional energy. That is your gold. That is your royal treasury. The real sign of intelligence is understanding that every conversation, every scroll, every late-night overthinking session is a payment. You are paying with your life. You see, money lost can be earned back. Energy spent on the wrong people rarely returns. When you chase, you are not only lowering your status in their eyes, you are draining the very resource that creates attraction in the first place. Think about it. When you keep calling, double texting, explaining, convincing, you are doing the psychological equivalent of over-tipping for bad service. The food was cold, the waiter was rude, and you drop a huge tip anyway. What happens next time? They give you less effort. Why? Because you taught them that low effort earns high reward. The same logic runs your relationships. You give more attention when they give less. They learn that your energy is cheap. This is why chasing kills desire. Social exchange research shows that people judge relationships by value versus cost. When you chase, you raise your cost and lower your perceived value. You turn yourself into an all-you-can-eat buffet, then wonder why no one treats you like a rare delicacy. The moment you start flooding someone with attention they did not earn, their psychological reactance kicks in. They feel pressure. They pull away. You push harder. They respect you less. Now, let's begin to flip the frame. Imagine yourself as a prince in your own kingdom. A prince does not run through the streets begging for conversations. He does not knock on every door asking, "Do you like me?" He grants audiences. Selectively, intentionally, each person who receives his attention feels chosen. That is where magnetism starts, not in the amount of attention you give, but in the standards that govern it. Machiavelli understood this. Appear desired, never desperate. Greene echoes it with scarcity. What is rare feels powerful. When your attention is everywhere, it is background noise. When it is rare, it becomes an event. Intelligent people use this on purpose. They are not cold, they are calculated with their energy. So here is your practical discipline. For 1 week, track your attention like a banker tracks money. Who gets your calls, your replies, your late-night mental replay? Which apps, which people, which arguments are you financing with your focus? Then ask a ruthless question. Is this person, app, or situation giving me any return on this investment? Pattern interrupt. Stop asking, why won't they give me attention? Ask, why am I giving them so much of mine? That single reversal moves you from beggar to ruler, from chaste to chooser. And once you start guarding this currency, your next power move becomes obvious. You must decide who even gets access to spend it. Romantic context. Stop chasing. Start choosing in romance. This is where most people lose all their power. They guard their attention with work, with friends, with strangers online, then hand it away for free to the person they are attracted to. The moment desire enters, their standards vanish and the chase begins. Look at how this usually plays out. You meet someone you like. Within days, you are constantly texting, double messaging when they go silent, sending memes, paragraphs, check-ins. You overcompliment, you reassure, you keep the conversation alive while they respond with one-word replies and delayed answers. You plan elaborate dates, drive across town, rearrange your schedule while they see how they feel an hour before meeting you. Think about it. Who is investing? And who is coasting? You see, those behaviors create a brutal imbalance. You're auditioning, they're the judge. You are performing for a role they have not earned the right to cast. In their mind, the argument is settled before it starts. Your energy says, you have more value than me. Their ego absorbs that message and quietly adjusts the power dynamic. They become the prize, you become the applicant. Psychology is simple here. When someone feels their freedom threatened by pressure, they resist and devalue what is chasing them. Your constant pursuit triggers reactance. The more you push, the more their interest collapses. On the surface, they might still be polite. Underneath, attraction is dying because neediness has replaced mystery. So you flip the script. You slow your responses instead of racing to reply. You match effort instead of over-functioning. If they send short, delayed texts, you send short, delayed texts. If they cancel twice, you stop rescheduling. You keep your routines, your gym, your friends, your work, instead of dropping everything for a last-minute invitation. You create a silent question in their mind. What is this person doing when they're not talking to me? That question is power. Date like a chooser, not a beggar. In the early stages, you go on multiple dates. You keep options open. You observe patterns. You do not emotionally commit before behavior justifies it. This is why Machiavellian rulers never pledged loyalty before they saw consistent action. They watched who showed up when it cost them something. You are doing the same, but in modern dating. The most attractive stance is calm interest, not emotional dependence. You are open to connection, but your life is already full. The real sign of intelligence in romance is not how intensely you can chase, but how clearly you can choose. And once you understand that, your next strategic move becomes obvious. You must redesign how you communicate your value without saying a single word. Friendships and social circles, stop orbiting. Start leading. You redesign that signal most clearly in your friendships. Because if romance exposes your neediness, your social circle exposes your orbiting. You see, many people are not rejected in love. They are quietly downgraded in their own friend group. Think about it. Who always sends the first message? Who is driving 40 minutes across town again, because that's where everyone else wants to meet? Who keeps adjusting their schedule, canceling their own priorities, then discovering photos from a small get-together they were never told about? You bring attention, they bring indifference. You offer energy, they offer occasional convenience. This is not random. This is a pattern of orbiting. You are the satellite circling their plans, their preferences, their timelines. On the surface, it looks generous. Underneath, it broadcasts something dangerous. You are grateful simply to be included. And in any group of people, gratitude without boundaries is read as low status. Social exchange theory explains why. When you are always available and always accommodating, your cost rises and your perceived value falls. The group learns unconsciously that you will rearrange your life for a seat at the table. The moment you signal that, you hand them the power to decide when, where, and whether you belong. This is why you feel that subtle humiliation when they forget to invite you to the real event. Birthdays, trips, inner circle dinners. You hear about them after the fact, and you pretend it does not matter. But your nervous system understands the truth. You were treated as optional. Intelligent people do not argue with this. They do not beg for explanations. They change the terrain. Now let's begin the shift. Instead of orbiting, you become a hub. You start hosting your own gatherings. Small, intentional, controlled. You choose the time, the place, the atmosphere. You invite selectively, and you remain calm when some people do not show up. Their absence no longer threatens your ego, it simply reveals who is aligned with your world. At that point, logic regains its power. People feel psychological reactance when they sense someone pushing for inclusion, but they feel curiosity when they sense a center of gravity forming without them. You are no longer chasing attendance. You are creating experiences, connecting people who would never have met, turning your space into a source of energy instead of a plea for attention. The real sign of intelligence in social life is this: you stop asking, "How do I get invited?" and start asking, "What am I building that others want to be part of?" When you are the one organizing, introducing, and setting the frame, you control the conversation before it even starts. What happens when your presence becomes the event? When people measure their weekend by whether they were in your orbit, instead of you begging to be added to theirs? Work and career, from employee mindset to strategic asset in the social world, your presence becomes the event. In the professional world, most people do the opposite. They turn themselves into background noise. You see, workplace chasing is the default. You overwork without boundaries. You answer emails at midnight, say yes to every request, volunteer for everything, tolerate chronic underpayment, and then hope that they'll notice. You bring effort, they bring higher expectations. You bring loyalty, they bring, "Can you also handle this?" Think about it. Who is really in control in that arrangement? This is not generosity. This is unpaid campaigning. When you behave like this, you train your employer to see you as endlessly available, infinitely stretchable labor, not as a strategic asset, but as a replaceable function. The moment you signal, "My time is cheap, my boundaries are flexible, my standards are negotiable," you write your own price tag. And it is low. Psychological reactance appears here too. The more you push for recognition, the more their ego relaxes. They feel no urgency, no scarcity, no pressure to move. Why promote you today when they can squeeze more free energy out of you tomorrow? This is why the quiet, detached colleague often gets the raise before the desperate workhorse. Their attention is selective. Their hours look expensive. The real sign of intelligence at work is not how much you can endure. It is how precisely you choose what to touch. High-value professionals flip the script. They define their role clearly. They decide what outcomes they own. They set boundaries around hours and communication. They do not argue about being team players. They demonstrate value through results, not sacrifice. Then, they do something even more dangerous. They focus on high-impact work that is hard to ignore and even harder to replace. Key projects, revenue-driving initiatives, systems that keep running when everyone else is asleep. You stop chasing vague approval and start building a portfolio that can walk out the door with you. This is strategic scarcity. You become less available for low-value tasks that burn time and signal obedience. You become more available for work that builds your skills, your leverage, and your external options. You see, when you politely decline busy work and volunteer instead for visible, measurable impact, you send a quiet message: my energy is not free. My attention is an investment. Pattern interrupt. What happens if they dislike this new version of you? Good, now you have data. If every boundary is treated as an insult, you are not in a career. You are in a disguised dependency. You are not being difficult. You are aligning your behavior with someone who knows their worth and is not afraid to walk when it is consistently disrespected. Machiavelli would call that leverage. Greene would call it power. In the next section, you will see how this same stance turns negotiations, offers, and career moves into a game where you no longer beg for terms, you set them. Digital life, stop chasing likes, build gravity. That same leverage is even more brutal in the digital world. Most people hand it away for free. They don't walk into negotiations begging. They open their phone and beg the algorithm instead. You see, digital chasing is the new public desperation. You post constantly for validation, not value. You refresh views every 3 minutes. You DM people again and again when they ignore you. You copy every trend, every sound, every pose, hoping the crowd will finally notice you. Think about it. Who actually has the power in that dynamic? When you behave like this, you broadcast a simple message. Your priority is to be seen, not to become someone worth seeing. Power is not about appearing everywhere. Power is about having people feel your absence. The real sign of intelligence online is knowing that attention gained through neediness is attention that never respects you. Psychologically, this chasing triggers the same reactance we discussed earlier. The more you push your content into people's faces, the more their mind resists and devalues it. You're signaling that their attention is the prize, and you will dance endlessly to win it. High-status people do the opposite. They act as if their attention is the scarce resource. This is why you must shift from digital chasing to digital gravity. Digital gravity means you consistently create something valuable and authentic, then you step back and let it pull the right people over time. You are not spamming, you are not begging, you are building a center of mass. Imagine two creators. One posts 10 random clips a day, copies every viral dance, replies to every comment with nervous energy, and lives in their analytics tab. The other posts once or twice with intention, depth, and a clear standard, then logs off to live, learn, and sharpen their mind. 6 months later, who has gravity? Who has built something that cannot be ignored? The moment your life starts feeding your content instead of your content feeding your life, your entire presence changes. You post with intention, then you close the app. You go train, study, build, network in the real world. Your experiences become raw material. Your content stops being a performance and becomes a report of reality. Machiavelli would say you are managing appearances without becoming their slave. Greene would say you are using scarcity and controlled distance to raise your perceived value. Intelligent people understand that silence between posts can be more powerful than constant noise. In the next section, you are going to learn how to turn that digital gravity into strategic offers and alliances, where brands, followers, and collaborators begin to chase you. Because when you stop begging the algorithm and start building undeniable value, the game quietly flips. Emotional detachment, caring without clinging, but here is where most people quietly destroy that gravity. They finally become attractive, then they panic and start chasing the very attention they've earned. The algorithm isn't the only thing they beg. They beg people. They beg outcomes. And the moment you beg, your power leaks. Now let's begin with a brutal distinction. Detachment is not apathy. Detachment is not pretending you do not care, acting cold, or playing foolish games. Detachment is caring deeply about someone or something, while refusing to let your self-worth be held hostage by their reaction. You see, apathy says nothing matters. Detachment says it matters, but it does not define me. That difference is everything. Think about it. Why do you chase? Why do intelligent people suddenly abandon all logic and start over-texting, over-explaining, over-pleasing? Attachment, the inner belief that if this person pulls away, I collapse. If this deal fails, I am nothing. The moment you believe you cannot be okay without a specific response, you will trade your standards for scraps of reassurance. You will argue against your own value. This is why attachment always fuels chasing. You over-pursue, not because they are a god, but because your ego has fused with their approval. You ignore red flags, you tolerate disrespect, you rewrite the truth in your head just to keep the fantasy alive. You are no longer in control of the conversation or the relationship. You are negotiating against yourself. So how do you break that spell in practical terms? You do not lecture your emotions, you train them. Journaling becomes a weapon. You write down the story your ego is telling you. Without them, I'm alone. Without this opportunity, my life is over. Then you attack that story with evidence from your own past resilience. When have you been abandoned and survived? When have you lost and come back stronger? Your nervous system needs receipts, not slogans. Meditation does the same work in a different way. You sit with the urge to chase, and you refuse to move. You watch the panic, you watch the fantasies, and you learn that these waves rise and fall without killing you. Visualizing two paths also rewires you. One path, you with them, fulfilled. The second, you without them, still fulfilled, still powerful, still respected. Both are rich. Both are real. Detached people love more cleanly. They give freely, but they do not beg. They express feelings, but they do not force reciprocity. Their attention is a gift, not a plea. The real sign of intelligence is this: they can walk away while still caring. That is why their love feels rare. And here is the paradox. When people feel you are with them by choice, not by emotional dependence, what kind of relationships start hunting for you instead of hiding from you? Reinforcing the mantra, silence, scarcity, standards. The answer is simple: relationships that chase you. Opportunities that chase you. Respect that chases you. But they only appear when you move through life with three silent weapons: your silence, your scarcity, and your standards. Silence means you no longer react to every trigger, every notification, every foolish comment that pokes your ego. You do not rush to explain, defend, or clarify every misunderstanding. You see, intelligent people understand that attention is power. The moment you reply to every little thing, you declare that anyone can pull your energy on demand. That is not attraction. That is availability on tap. Scarcity means your presence is not a free, unlimited resource. Your time is not an open buffet where people can walk in and out without cost. When your schedule is always open, when you are always ready to hang out, always ready to talk, you silently broadcast that your life has nothing more important than them. Think about it. Why would they value what you treat as cheap? Standards mean you decide what you will and will not tolerate. You choose which conversations you entertain, which patterns you excuse, which behaviors you walk away from. When you have no standards, other people's impulses become your destiny. When you raise your standards, their ego no longer runs your life. This is why high-value people feel so rare. They are not for everyone, and they are not afraid of being alone. So here is your check-in. Which pillar do you struggle with the most right now? Is it silence, because your ego wants to answer every text and every argument? Is it scarcity, because you fear that if you are not always there, they will forget you? Or is it standards, because you keep negotiating your boundaries the moment you feel lonely? Tell me in the comments which one is your weakness and which one will you focus on for the next 7 days. Declare it. When you name the problem publicly, you put your ego on notice. You shift from reacting to your emotions to taking control of your behavior. Use this refined affirmation as your new script. My silence is a decision. My time is scarce. My standards are non-negotiable. Say it slowly. Write it somewhere visible. Put it on your lock screen, your mirror, your notebook. Look at it before you text back, before you post, before you agree to plans that drain your energy. The real sign of intelligence is training yourself to pause and read that sentence before you move. Pattern interrupt. Imagine if you actually lived that way for 30 days. How different would your relationships look? Now, let's begin the final consolidation. In this video, you are going to learn a rapid-fire recap of the entire Machiavelli and Greene playbook you have absorbed so far. So you can carry these laws of attraction, scarcity, and strategic desirability into every conversation without overthinking. Rapid recap. The Machiavellian playbook for modern attraction, so let's strip it down to the raw truth. Chasing kills attraction. Every time you over-explain, over-text, over-give, you don't look more loving, you look less valuable. The moment you start pursuing someone who is indifferent, their psychological reactance activates. They feel their freedom pushed, so they pull away and quietly downgrade you. You see, the entire Machiavellian playbook you've learned in this video flips that script. Power in attraction comes from strategic scarcity, calm silence, and ruthless self-respect. You stop trying to convince people, and you start letting them convince themselves. First, you learn to recognize useless arguments. When someone is running on ego, not logic, you do not beg, chase, or debate your worth. You notice the interruptions, the twisting of words, the subtle disrespect, and you disengage. Intelligent people do not stay in conversations where truth has no value. Second, you mastered absence. You saw how controlled distance, fewer messages, and selective access trigger the same scarcity bias that makes limited seats, sold-out shows, and rare items feel more valuable. When you are not always available, your presence stops being background noise and becomes a rare event. Third, you practiced signaling standards. You do not accept crumbs, half-effort plans, or disrespectful jokes disguised as teasing. You explain your boundary once, calmly, and then you let your actions do the rest. No repeated lectures, no emotional essays. Fourth, you slowed your replies, not as a childish game, but as a discipline of control. You stop reacting in seconds. You let the message sit. You respond when your energy is clear, not when your ego is triggered. Think about it. How different do you look when nothing can yank you into instant performance? Fifth, you started building options. More friends, more projects, more invitations, more purpose. One person's attention stopped being your oxygen. That shift alone changes your body language and your tone in every conversation. Sixth, you learn to control frames. You no longer argue from the position of an applicant. You reframe the interaction around mutual value, mutual effort, mutual respect. You are not auditioning, you are evaluating. Seventh, you used mystery. You stopped oversharing, stopped narrating your every thought, stopped dumping your entire history on the first date. Curiosity became your ally instead of your enemy. Eighth, you invested in yourself. Skills, health, style, money, mission, attraction stopped being your main project. Your life became your main project. This is why your presence started to feel different. Under all of this sit the micro-disciplines. You match effort, you delay reactions, you explain once, you exit disrespectful spaces. Small moves, massive signal. The real sign of intelligence here is the identity shift. From chaser to chooser. From applicant to prize. From loud performer to silent magnet. None of this requires cruelty. It requires clarity. You act like someone who knows their value, so people either rise to meet it or quietly fall away. Now, let's begin the final step, turning this from information into your default behavior, so attraction stops being an accident and becomes your baseline. Implementation challenge, 30 days of no chasing. So here is where this stops being theory and becomes a weapon. For the next 30 days, you are going to run an experiment on your own life. No chasing, no double texting to clarify, no begging for effort, no over-explaining your worth, no staying in any space where you are consistently disrespected, dismissed, or treated like an option. Think about it. For most people, chasing is on autopilot. They feel a tiny pullback and instantly overcompensate with more attention, more energy, more explanation. The real sign of intelligence is to interrupt that reflex and replace it with a rule. For 30 days, you obey the rule, even when your ego screams, even when your old identity panics. Here is how it works. You pick one arena to start with, one relationship, one situationship, one group chat, one workplace dynamic where you know you have been the chaser. You give more than you get. You explain more than they listen. You initiate most conversations. They reply when it suits them. You see, this is your training ground. In that arena, you will do something radically simple. You will match effort or pull back. They text once, you text once. They take 3 days to reply. You are no longer on standby. They stay vague. You stop begging for clarity. You stop debating your value like it is an open argument. Power is not in the paragraph you send. Power is in the silence you hold. Every day, you track the small wins. A note in your phone, a line in a journal. You chose silence over reaction. You chose standards over people-pleasing. You chose going to the gym, reading, working on your craft over staring at your phone waiting for validation. The moment you document it, you train your brain to associate control with pleasure instead of panic. Will it feel comfortable? Absolutely not. That discomfort is the old identity dying. The needy self that survives on crumbs is losing oxygen, and it will throw a tantrum. But this is why you stay. This is where power is built. Psychological reactants used to work against you. Your chasing triggered their resistance. Now you flip it. Your distance triggers their curiosity, or it exposes their disinterest. Both outcomes are useful. In this video, you are going to learn principles. But in these 30 days, you are going to collect proof. Who comes closer when you stop chasing? Who quietly disappears? How does your self-respect feel when you are no longer begging to be chosen? Come back in 30 days and write it in the comments. What changed? Which conversations died? Which connections deepened? And what did you learn about your own standards? Because in the next part, we are going to take that data and show you how to turn it into a long-term strategy that makes you dangerous to ignore. Final identity lock. You are the prize. Act like it now. Let's begin the final lock. Up to this point, you have been dissecting patterns. But this is where it becomes personal. Think about it. How many nights did you stay awake replaying conversations, wondering what you said wrong, what you could have done more, how you could have bent yourself further so that someone would finally pick you? You overgave, they barely noticed. You chased, they slowed down. You lowered your standards, they lowered their respect. You see, you trained people to treat you as if your attention was cheap. You flooded them with energy, reassurance, explanations. You sent the long messages. You justified, defended, over-explained. They responded with one-word replies, delayed answers, half-hearted effort. That was not an accident. That was power optics. You were signaling that they were the prize and you were the applicant. Those days can end today, not because these people suddenly become less foolish or more fair, but because you finally switch roles in your own mind. The moment you decide that your time, your peace, your presence are scarce resources, the entire game changes. You stop begging to be chosen and start evaluating who is even qualified to stand next to you. Picture this future very clearly. You walk into a room and you do not rush to greet everyone. You move slowly, calm, collected. You speak less, but when you do, people turn. Your words carry weight because you are no longer throwing them everywhere. Your silence is no longer insecurity, it is control. You are not chasing laughs, attention, or validation. You are observing, selecting. In your relationships, boundaries stop being theoretical. Someone disrespects your time twice, access reduced. They play games with communication. You stop explaining and let time reveal the truth of their character. The real sign of intelligence is not how well you argue for your worth, but how quietly you walk away when it is not recognized. From this point on, you live by a simple line. You don't chase, you attract. Because you finally act like someone worth chasing. This is why psychological reactance stops working against you. When you are not pushing, there is nothing to resist. Your controlled distance creates scarcity. Your selective availability signals status. People feel the gap when you pull back, and those with real value step forward to close it. So anchor this identity. You are the prize. Act like it in every conversation, every argument you refuse, every boundary you enforce without a speech. And if you want this to stick, you cannot go back to feeding your mind with weak, needy messages. Surround yourself with content that reinforces this new standard. In this video, you are going to learn tactics, but in the next part, you are going to build an environment that keeps you here, so that high-value behavior becomes your default, not a temporary performance. Closing CTA. Join the silent power movement, so let's lock this in right now. If you are done chasing in dating, in friendships, in your career, this is the moment you make it public. Not with a speech, with a decision. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and treat that button like a contract with yourself. From today forward, you move like the prize, not the pursuer. Think about it. You can keep feeding your attention to foolish conversations, low-value arguments, and people who only notice you when you overextend, or you can build an environment that constantly reminds you of your power. Subscribing is not about helping the channel. It is about surrounding yourself with messages that keep your ego in check and your standards high when old habits try to drag you back. You see, the people who really transform do one thing differently. They don't consume passively. They build systems around their psychology. Notifications on means every time you are tempted to chase, something stronger interrupts you. A reminder of scarcity, of control, of silent confidence. The real sign of intelligence is not knowing these ideas. It is engineering your world so you cannot escape them. Now, do one more strategic move. Share this with exactly one person who is always chasing the wrong people. Not to shame them, not to feel superior, as an act of respect. You are telling them, you are too valuable to beg for attention. High-level players quietly pass power to each other. This is why rulers in Machiavelli's world guarded information, but gifted it to the few they wanted closer. Next, if you are serious about mastering this, your next step is clear. Watch the playlist on power, boundaries, and Machiavellian psychology that I've linked for you. In that series, you are going to learn how scarcity, controlled distance, and strategic indifference create an aura that pulls people in without you chasing anyone. You bring standards, they bring effort. You hold the frame, they work to stay inside it. Before you go there, anchor this session. Go to the comments and write your favorite line or strategy from this video. The moment you type it, you are rehearsing it. You are turning a nice idea into a command your nervous system recognizes. Over time, that comment section becomes a library of reminders. On weak days, you scroll it, you see your own words, and you remember who you decided to be. We will close with this. Say it to yourself, out loud if you can, and let it echo Silence is power. Scarcity is respect. You are the prize. Act accordingly. Pause. Let that sink in. Then move like it. Post-credit whisper. The one truth stupid people never see: silence is power. Scarcity is respect. You are the prize. Act accordingly. And now, after the echo fades and the credits roll in your mind, there's one more truth you need to hear. The kind of truth foolish people never notice, even when it's right in front of their face. Truly foolish people think power is volume. They think control is being the loudest, the most reactive, the one constantly in the center of every conversation and every argument. They confuse attention with authority, chaos with leadership, and drama with influence. Think about it. In every group, there is always that one person performing. But who does the room quietly orbit around? It's rarely the one shouting. It's the one who doesn't need to. You see, the real sign of intelligence is not the ability to dominate every discussion, but the ability to make people adjust themselves around your silence. Stupid people stare at the spotlight. Intelligent people study the gravity. The moment you refuse to chase, argue, or over-explain, you step out of the circus. You stop being another clown fighting for laughs, and you become the person everyone studies from a distance. They replay your calm reaction. They analyze your lack of reaction. They wonder what you know that they don't. You bring control, they bring ego. You bring logic, they bring noise. You keep your energy, they burn theirs, proving a point that changes nothing. This is why psychological reactance punishes the chaser. The more you push, the more they devalue you. When you stop pushing, their mind has to do the chasing. So the next time someone tries to drag you into a useless argument, pause. They raise their voice, they twist your words, they bait you with disrespect. They perform for an audience that doesn't even care about truth. Your job is not to win that scene. Your job is to be unforgettable after the scene ends. Smile internally. Not a smirk on your face, a calm recognition in your mind. This is a trap for my ego. Then choose silence. Change the subject. Walk away. Say, you might be right, and let them celebrate a victory that costs you nothing. Here is your challenge. For the next week, let them talk, let them perform, let them argue with themselves, explain to themselves, and exhaust themselves. You'll be the one they can't stop thinking about afterward, the one whose restraint they can't quite decode. Because in the end, the smartest move is not to win every battle. The smartest move is to become so high value, so scarce, so centered in your own power, that you never need to enter most battles at all. Now, let them chase. You attract.